In an industry that caters for many different styles of wrestling, very few are as versatile or have the same intensity as my guest at this time. A mainstay of both the TNA and Ring of Honor promotions, he combines great technical skill and brutality, remaining to this day undefeated in TNA. He is the Samoan submission machine, Samoa Joe. Hi Joe, how are you?
I'm excellent, how are you?
Great, great. Well, first of all, congratulations on your Monsters Ball win at Bound for Glory. That was a hell of a match.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I think it went pretty well.
Yeah. Well, it was great from a fan's point of view, that's for sure. How did you find it working with Raven and Abyss all in the same match? I felt it kind of panned out well for me, and I mean, those are the three, I guess, very violent individuals, and I guess you're fortunate to come out of it relatively unscathed. Yeah. Did it add to the atmosphere to have Jake Roberts supervising things?
A bit. I mean, Jake's a very dark, devious individual. I think his track record kind of speaks for itself. So, I mean, if anything, I think Jake was more of an added danger to the match, because you're never too sure with Jake,
How did it feel to be working Bound for Glory in a large arena? Was it a nice change to get out of the Impact Zone?
It was an absolutely great change taking to the Impact Zone. I think a lot of fans around the nation, around the world, are hungry to see us outside of Orlando. And, I want to see TNA live in person, and I think the crowd response in Detroit was a testament to that. So I think it was a good thing we got out and we had ourselves a hell of a show.
Yeah, for sure. Well, all in all, Bound for Glory was a great pay-per-view. Did you get a chance to see many of the other matches?
Yeah, I did. After I got done and got back to the hotel. Actually, I was playing at the hotel, and I got to see quite a bit of it. And I enjoyed it. I thought the cage match was excellent. I think those guys just laid it on the line and went out there and busted their ass.
The cage match was incredible, and here was me thinking that they weren't going to top that match from No Surrender, but wow.
Exactly, and I think it's just like I said, it's a testament to the four guys that are in there. And they're four really great wrestlers who are willing to do whatever it takes to put on something spectacular. So I think it was good.
Just going back one pay-per-view to No Surrender and your match with Jeff Jarrett, how did you find it having the fans at ringside?
It was fun. I mean, they didn't hit me, so I had to hit them, but I think it was long overdue, and I think something the fans wanted, and we aimed to plays here in TNA. Yeah.
Well, were they more or less restrained than you thought they'd be?
They were less restrained than I thought they would be. I was surprised somebody didn't come over and take a shot at me, but what can you expect?
I read on your website that you were a part of the opening ceremonies at the 1984 Olympics when you were just 5. What was it you were actually doing there?
As you know, at most Olympic events, they try to have kind of stuff from international types of dances and stuff like that. And of course, my parents and in my family, we run a large Polynesian dance troupe in Southern California. So they hired us to come out and kind of represent the Pacific Islands in the opening ceremonies, type big grandiose show and pomp and circumstance they always put on before the game.
Yeah.
So basically, the Coliseum's a large building, and our girls had a costume change, and thinking that the dressing areas would be a little bit closer to the performing area. We didn't really account that our girls would have to run pretty much from center field in the arena to the staging area, change and come back. So we needed to stall basically for them to get back. So I remember my father kind of grabbing me at 5 years old by the scruff of my neck and throwing me over the drum and yelling at me stall. Which, my family we all knew what that meant. So I kind of went out there and made my debut and entertained the crowd for 5 minutes while the girls made a stage change.
You made your debut at 5 years old improvising at the Olympic Games.
Yeah, pretty much. After that, kind of stage fright was kind of out of the...
Yeah, really. This is a really obvious question, but I have to ask it. Are you looking forward to locking up with Kurt Angle?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, the fans want it. I know I do.
Yeah.
And, without a doubt, I think Kurt and I are the two best professional wrestlers in the world right now.
Absolutely.
And I think that the world wants to know who's the better man. Find out.
Did you find out at about the same time as everybody else that he was coming on board with TNA?
Yeah, when the surprise announcement was made at the pay-per-view. I mean, our office went to extensive lengths to keep it a secret.
Yeah, so I hear.
Right, and they succeeded, and I think it was good for the company. I think it was good for business, and I think it was, I think it was good that people didn't know. It was nice to be surprised, and I think it's nice to sit back and actually be wowed by something. So kudos to that.
How does it feel to know that you're the first one that TNA wants working with them?
It's an honor, and I think it lends to the fact that they believe that I can definitely put something together with him that the fans want to see.
Yeah.
And I think it was kind of a natural choice. I mean, I think people they don't want to see somebody kind of walk in and kind of trounce over 4 or 5 people and have nothing happen. They want to see the very best go at it, the very best. So I think that's why me and Angle are put together.
Well, there's been a lot of talk among fans that Angle's going to be the one to end your undefeated streak. How do you respond to that?
Well, there's a lot of talk among fans. And that's why I'm me.
Moving on to Ring of Honor, what are your thoughts on the match of the year that you had with Kenta Kobashi? Do you feel that it lived up to all the hype?
I think we had a match that the fans wanted to see, and I think that's the most important thing when you go into promoting and building these types. Kobashi is somebody who was really his first time here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And and the first time he ever did anything prolific, I think they looked at me again. Hey, listen, people want to see this happen.
Yeah.
See how this goes. And, the match was about as arduous and grueling as you can get, but I wouldn't trade in for anything in the world. I hope, in the near future, he can get healthy enough to where he can return in reaction. We can do it all over again.
Do you think that that's the kind of match that would get over with a TNA audience?
It's tough to say. I mean, I think you're talking to two very select markets as far as an ROH crowd, the TNA crowd. I think ROH crowd is definitely a more hardcore crowd. I mean, it's a word of mouth promotion. All their fan base is based off that. For TNA is nationally televised. They're nationally televised promotion. So I mean, it's very tough to say. But I think if you wanted an equivalent to something like that, then it would be me versus and TNA. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we definitely built towards, and I think that's.
The fans were just they were just coming unglued during that match. How do Ring of Honor fans compare to the TNA audiences?
For me, there's not much difference because I think I enjoy the same amount of adoration there as I do in TNA. So for me, it's really tough to say. But and I appreciate all the fans that come out to support. So, I mean, if anything, I just think they've been exposed to me in different ways and in different venues. I think it's for me, it's kind of a personal success that I've been able to be utilized in 2 different companies and kind of 2 very different fan bases as far as what they experience, what they expect, and yet still manage to be able to entertain them. I think make most fans happy when they think of do something around.
For sure. So that would sort of lead on to you don't really have a preference for which audience you prefer working in front of.
At this point, I kind of consider them all, just either Joe fans or you're not Joe fans. I think that's pretty much what it comes down to, because I'm not any different of an entity there as I am in TNA.
Yeah.
I think it's just like I said, either you're a Joe fan or either you love me or you hate me.
Well, speaking of Joe fans and ones that do love you, a friend of mine was actually at the Fan Frenzy before Bound for Glory. You signed his shirt. You might remember it. It said, Samoa Joe kills bitches.
Yes.
You remember that shirt?
Yes, I do.
It must be fun interacting with fans who are that supportive.
Absolutely. I mean, to take the time to make something like that is it's stellar. I mean, it's really flattering.
Yeah.
It's amazing the creativity and some of the homespun fan mythos has been kind of put out there by me. I've been sent websites with all sorts of fun and ridiculous facts I didn't know about myself. and it's been pretty cool, you know. So I appreciate it.
You just mentioned a moment ago Kobashi's health. How is he?
As far as I know, I mean, he's good. I mean, I've heard that they removed and no, this is secondhand information, so please don't take it as first account this, what's going on. But you know, I've heard that, you know, he's recovering and he's doing better. And of course, you know, the doctor's still monitoring him, and he's taking a well-deserved rest. So I mean, you know, hopefully, like I said, you know, I hope for the best and I pray for the best, and I hope he comes back into form and we can see us two lock up again.
For sure. I wonder if that's probably the answer to my next question, which was, who's been your favourite Ring of Honor opponent?
You know, actually, you know, overall, I think, you know, favored Ring of Honor opponent, it would be guys like Homicide.
Yeah.
I mean, just consistently, we've had wars.
Sure.
And you know, it's hard to discount that. And aside from that, I mean, you got, you know, Bryan Danielson, current champion. You have, you know, of course, my trilogy with Punk. And I mean, it's hard for me to pinpoint a favorite opponent because, you know, I've had the opportunity to be in with so many great wrestlers that, you know, it's
hard to pick just one.
Yeah, it really is, and I mean, because I mean, for so many different reasons and for so many different matches. I mean, I think I'm very fortunate in my career that I've been able to have that experience. I think it's an experience that a lot of people don't get to have, you know, going through the ranks of wrestling. So.
Yeah, you've made your mark as a solid wrestler of great technical skill in Ring of Honor and TNA, but you've also shown that you can go hardcore. I mean, you know, Monsters Ball the other night, perfect case. Do you have any preferences for style?
You know, I love wrestling matches. You know, my delving into hardcore is, you know, basically I'm just a mean son of a bitch, so it kind of works out well for me. But
yeah.
You know, in the interim, I mean, it's just I love a wrestling contest, a wrestling match. You know, I think it's what this business was founded on, with two guys going in the ring and trying to, you know, pin the other guy's mat to the, you know, pin the other guy's shoulders to the mat for 3 seconds, and that's what I like to do. You know, that's my thing. I think to me personally too, I think most hardcore stuff, although there are some guys who I have tremendous respect, I think you get it right. I think it's a crutch, and I think it's not what the art of professional wrestling is about. You know, the art is going in there and making yourself a dangerous weapon, not using dangerous weapons. So,
yeah.
And that's what I believe in. And so I definitely prefer the standard wrestling.
Is that how you define a technical wrestler? You know, I mean, I've asked a couple of other guys like Kirsty the same question: what would define a technical wrestler? And that's an interesting one that you just said there. That the make yourself a weapon, not use weapons. Would you say that's a fairly good definition?
I think it's an excellent definition.
Yeah.
I think it best encapsulates the spirit of what you know, truly being a technical wrestler is. It's not your ability to the amount of holds that you know, your ability. I think it's the ability to convey the fact that, you know, I will break your arm, your neck, your legs, and everything on you much worse than any stick, chair, or baseball bat could ever hope to.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, along those lines, are there any moves or techniques that you use in Ring of Honor that you're not able to do in TNA?
For the most part, no. I mean, I'm kind of given free rein for what I do, and you know, but at the same time, I'm also responsible for what I do, and that's a big difference. You know, I think what a lot of people don't understand about a difference between indie and televised regular wrestling is the fact that, you know, a lot of these guys have to support their families and go to work the next day, and you know, they're wrestling 2, 3, 4 times, you know, up to 4 or 5 times a week. So to sit there and I hear this criticism all the time, you know, like and it's not so much with TNA, because, you know, TNA, you know, we're given free reign with what we do pretty much, and you know, we're allowed to go out there and do what we do. But, you know, in WWE there is a certain moniker or move, kind of, you know, it's unspoken rule that they kind of frown upon being used by the wrestlers, and the reason why is because, you know, these guys have to go out 4 days a week, 5 days a week, and do this. And you know, and it's funny because, like, sometimes I'll come across indie guys or guys who are, you know, weekend warriors in the business. And they'll be like, well, that's not a big deal. I took this and this and this, and
Yeah.
you know, I was good to go. I go, well, at the same time, I look at them and say, yeah, but you wrestle twice a month. So you get done, you go home, you know, you go work your 9 to 5 or whatever, but you get 2 weeks to heal.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I got to do this all over again in another arena in another city and make this happen. And, you know, I think it's important for, you know, for fans to take that into account, the amount of wear and tear that a lot of televised wrestlers kind of go through when they when they take on, like I said, a television wrestler schedule, which is, you know, on the road nonstop. Even though TNA only films twice here in Orlando, I'm still 4 times a week out working for several promotions across the country and across and around the world.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I'm getting brain busted every night of the week, you know, the 20-hour flight back from England to Boston to make my next show isn't that much more comfortable. You know, it doesn't make me want to go back in there and take another one.
Yeah.
So, you know, and like I said, that these are things that I think a lot of fans kind of don't even take into account or realize.
Right.
And a lot of wrestlers who are just coming up kind of don't even take into account, but these are very real things. So, like I said, in TNA, getting back to my original point in TNA, you know, we do have free reign with what we do, but at the same time, we are responsible for what we do. So we definitely take that responsibility very serious.
Right. How do you look back on your Ring of Honor matches with CM Punk?
Fondly. I mean, I think it was at a time when the company needed something else to focus on, and me and CM Punk decided that we were going to make a focus on wrestling, what the company was about, not a bunch of outside BS controversy caused by a very selfish individual. You know, a very selfish, I personally think, sick individual.
Yeah,
so,
right.
You know, that's what we set out to do. And, you know, and that's what the fans paid to see.
Yeah.
So.
Given your long-standing friendship with him, have you been watching him, and how do you think he's doing over in ECW?
I think he's doing well for himself. I have been, and you know, I hope he continues to do so. And you know, I've noticed he's incorporated a few things that he's taken from me over the years to his repertoire over there, and I'm more than happy for him. So.
Speaking of things WWE related, you must be sick to death by now of the Umaga comparisons.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's and especially you know, you're from New Zealand, so you have a little bit more of an acumen with Pacific Islanders, and I think.
We do.
And you know, and I think it's just, I really do think it's a ridiculous comparison. I think it's a lazy comparison.
Very much so.
I think if it was any other racial group in the world, it would even border being on racist, the way that they compare us. You know, I think, you know, like I said, I made reference to it in an online blog saying that, you know, comparing me to him is comparing Bad News Allen to Samba Simba.
Yeah.
And you know, and really the only thing we have in common is that we're both Samoan. So. You know, I don't know. It just it seems a little bit ridiculous and, like I said, lazy. And I think a lot of people kind of take it for granted. You know, and at times too, the comparison, I almost take a little bit of offense because I'm just like, you know, is that what you really think? You know, and I know that's the way that Samoans have been traditionally portrayed in professional wrestling. And I don't disparage anybody for portraying that because, you know, we are an island people. I mean. And as you know, I mean, you know, if you're from New Zealand, you know, the Maori face paint, the Samoan face paint is very different. He wears a more Maori-esque type.
He wears a moku. He wears a moku that's been painted on by somebody who's seen a picture and doesn't know what they really mean.
Exactly. And you know what? And you know, when I first saw it, that's one of the first things I thought too. But you know, that's more of a company line WWE. I mean, they think that's the type of, you know, kind of compelling character that they want to put on television. I'm not one to disparage him for it, but you know, me, you know.
But it's so much of a stereotype; it's almost a caricature. But then again, that's WWE, as you say.
Well, and I think it becomes, and basically, he's kind of an amalgamation of South Pacific Islanders. He's not even Samoan. You know, well, he is Samoan, but like, you know, the character portrayal of itself and what they have him doing, that really kind of borders outside of Samoan when it gets into the face paint, the adornment, stuff like that. And, you know, like I said, in America, it's not that big of a deal because there just isn't that type of education or that type of, you know, they don't really invest that much time to really care about, you know, Pacific Island cultures. But like New Zealand, like where you're from, I know that, you know, I'd be interested to see how it would be received in New Zealand, you know.
It's often, well, especially when it comes to the representation of the moku and Maori culture. I think that there are some who are offended. Others are just, now that he's been around for a while, just kind of laughing it off. It's like, oh well,
yeah,
you know, ignorance breeds contempt.
And I've sort of floated into that realm of thinking because I think it's a battle not worth fighting, because hey, that's what they're going to do regardless of how much you whine and complain about it. So it's, it's on my blame. But so, I mean, so be it,
Yeah. Well, moving on to something a bit more pleasant, tell us about the upcoming TNA game.
It's looking great. In fact, we have the Midway guys here. They are currently scanning the faces of all the TNA superstars that are going to be in the game, and it's looking fantastic. I mean, for Xbox 360 and PS3 fans, I think you're going to be wowed by, really what I feel, and I think Midway feels is going to be their next generation benchmark title. I think for the graphics and the, what we run at and gameplay is going to be out of this world. As of right now, it's still in its initial stages. We're still building each character. We're still basically putting down the building blocks to set up the game. So a lot of people have been asking, what about gameplay? What about this? What about features? We have features that we're shooting for, but for the most part, we're just in the initial stages of getting the game going. And I think within the next 6 months, we'll have some very, very solid footage and solid information to give players, and then to give gamers around the world about the next TNA game. All I know is I'm very involved in the project. Abe is very involved in the project.
Right.
Christopher Daniels is actually going to start being very involved in the project.
Right.
And we are doing our best to ensure that pro wrestling gamers around the world are going to be delivered a game that they're going to think is absolutely fantastic and they're going to enjoy.
Wow. What's something that fans would be surprised to learn about Samoa Joe?
I don't really know anymore. I mean, I think I really wish I had something I think would be surprising, but I mean, you tell me. A fan would have to tell me what they would be surprised to know about me. It's kind of, for the most part, I'm Joe, and I do what I do, and I go home in the afternoons. I make myself some coffee and relax in the evenings. That's about it.
If you weren't wrestling, what would you be doing?
If I wasn't wrestling, I'd probably, I'd probably be working a 9 to 5 and, with my 2.5 kids and, kind of living in, relative obscurity.
Okay. So when you were, you always knew you wanted to wrestle. There was just never any other option in your head. It was, you were going to do this. You didn't have any other ideas?
Actually, no. It was more of a kind of a subtle progression. I mean, I started working on judo and jiu-jitsu in the gym. I was asked to stay after and try a pro wrestling class. I did. I enjoyed it. From then, kind of stuck with it and started learning as much as I could and kind of keeping it as a hobby, not really, putting a tremendous amount into it, but, just saying I'm enjoying myself and this is good for me. And then, within a few months, I was doing dark matches for WWE. Then 6 months later, I was living in Japan and I was working for 01 and going back and forth. And, at that point, I was like, well, I guess this is kind of a career now. So, and I said, well, if it's a career, then I might as well go 100%, go full bore with it. Here I am.
What will Samoa Joe's legacy be?
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. It's going when fans look back and they think about Samoa Joe. Hopefully they'll think about some of the greatest matches that they've ever seen. That's what I intend to deliver. Oh
yeah. Well, Joe, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today, and we really appreciate everything. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.